The Safeguard American Voter Eligibility (SAVE) Act, a legislative turning point in U.S. electoral policy. On April 10, 2025, the U.S. House of Representatives passed the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility (SAVE) Act, a piece of legislation that could redefine the landscape of voter registration in the United States. Promoted by its supporters as a measure to ensure electoral integrity, the SAVE Act mandates documentary proof of U.S. citizenship for all individuals registering to vote in federal elections. While its proponents frame the act as a necessary safeguard, critics argue it constitutes one of the most sweeping voter suppression efforts in recent memory. Key provisions of the SAVE Act. 1. Proof of citizenship requirement. The central feature of the SAVE Act is the requirement that all individuals registering to vote must present physical, government-issued documentation proving U.S. citizenship. Acceptable documents include a valid U.S. passport, a real ID-compliant driver's license indicating citizenship, a military ID with documentation of birthplace, a certified birth certificate paired with a government-issued photo ID. This replaces prior federal standards, which allowed voter registration based on attestation under penalty of perjury, without requiring physical documentation. 2. Tightened voter purge mandates. The bill also requires states to conduct more frequent and aggressive voter roll purges to remove individuals who fail to meet documentation requirements. This could result in significant numbers of eligible voters being removed due to clerical errors, mismatched records, or a lack of recent documentation. 3. State-level implementation flexibility. Though the bill imposes federal-level requirements, it allows states to devise their own systems for collecting and verifying citizenship documents. This introduces variability in how the law could be enforced across different jurisdictions. Political context and congressional support. The SAVE Act passed in the House with a 220-208 vote, with 4 Democrats joining the Republican majority. The legislation reflects broader political tensions over voter integrity versus accessibility. Prominent supporters include Representative Ashley Hinson, RIA, Representative Marie Gluesenkamp Perez, DWA. Backers of the bill argue that citizenship verification is essential to protect the legitimacy of U.S. elections, citing concerns over the potential for non-citizen voting, opposition and civil rights concerns. Voting rights organizations and civil liberties groups have strongly opposed the SAVE Act. Critics argue that over 21 million Americans lack ready access to the required documents, disproportionately affecting women, minorities, low-income individuals, and people with disabilities. Name discrepancies due to marriage or gender transitions may make it difficult to prove identity and citizenship. Past attempts at implementing similar requirements at the state level have shown discriminatory impacts, reduced voter turnout, and legal reversals. The American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, League of Women Voters, and Brennan Center for Justice are among the leading organizations mobilizing legal and grassroots opposition. Impact on marginalized communities. Women who have changed their names after marriage or divorce may lack matching documentation, creating barriers to registration and potential disenfranchisement. People of color. Black and Hispanic Americans are statistically less likely to possess passports or certified birth documents. In states with similar laws, registration rates among these groups have dropped significantly. Low-income individuals. Citizens earning under $50,000 annually are more likely to lack required documents. Fees associated with obtaining replacements, birth certificates, passports impose additional financial burdens. Military families and transients. Active duty military members and Americans who move frequently are at risk of missing registration deadlines or being purged due to address inconsistencies. Historical parallels and state-level outcomes. Kansas. In 2011, Kansas implemented a law requiring proof of citizenship to vote. Over 31,000 eligible voters were blocked from registering before court struck down the law in 2018 as unconstitutional. The law was found to violate the National Voter Registration Act, NVRA. Arizona. Arizona's proof of citizenship requirement also faced legal opposition and was deemed to violate federal election laws by disproportionately affecting Latino and Native American communities. The SAVE Act raises concerns that these state-level failures could now be repeated on a national scale. Implications for the 2026 elections. 1. Reduced voter turnout. Analyses suggest that strict ID and documentation laws suppress turnout, particularly among first-time voters and historically marginalized groups. In a tight midterm election cycle, the SAVE Act could sway results in battleground states. 2. Administrative chaos. State election officials may face challenges verifying documents at scale, leading to processing delays, longer lines, and registration backlogs. 3. Legal uncertainty. Pending court challenges may create confusion over which rules are in place by November 2026, potentially disenfranchising voters unsure of requirements. 4. Political polarization. The SAVE Act may become a flashpoint in national debates, fueling campaign narratives and intensifying activism on both sides of the political spectrum. Advocacy strategies and legal mobilization. Legal action voting rights groups are preparing lawsuits arguing that the SAVE Act violates the Voting Rights Act, imposes unconstitutional burdens on the right to vote, results in discriminatory outcomes against protected groups. Public awareness campaigns, organizations like the Brennan Center and NAACP are launching education efforts to inform voters of their rights and how to obtain necessary documents. Grassroots mobilization. Civil society groups are organizing voter registration drives, community workshops, and advocacy campaigns, urging voters to contact their senators to block the legislation in the upper chamber. The road ahead in the Senate. The SAVE Act now moves to the U.S. Senate, where it faces significant hurdles. To overcome a filibuster, it must secure 60 votes, a threshold unlikely to be met without bipartisan support. The bill's constitutionality and implementation feasibility will likely become central themes in Senate hearings and national discourse. Conclusion. The Safeguard American Voter Eligibility, SAVE Act, represents a pivotal moment in American electoral policy. While presented as a measure to secure the integrity of federal elections, its broader implications could be a historic rollback of voter access not seen in decades. With legal, political, and civil society battles looming, the fate of the SAVE Act may well determine who votes and who does not in the 2026 elections and beyond.